Hi, Adrian Halo here with the first episode of Adrian Halo, the man that speaks to the mind. So, who am I? What do I do? And who does it help? So, if you've come to my channel or maybe you've just stumbled across it, it's because you want to know more about the mind and how we fix the mind. And that's what I do. I fix the mind in minutes. When all else fails, I have the remedy. I have the tools to access the mind. So, this is what I do. I have the ability to speak direct to the subconscious mind. And what that means is I can speak to it, I can reprogram it, I can add things, new attributes, I can remove things. And it takes place in minutes. Now, most people sat watching this will think, we've heard this kind of stuff before. So what I do is I do a global, free, virtual live reset event that's going to be starting in April. And it's going to run monthly. So you can literally register, take part, and you can experience a complete transformation of your mental, emotional state. Everything will change. And it's completely free. So there you go. I put the proof is in the pudding, should we say. So I like to prove to people what I can do. So it is a gift to be able to speak to the subconscious in the way I do, but more conventional methods that people know about is things like hypnosis, okay, neuro-linguistic programming known as NLP, used by a lot of people, a lot of elites around the world, world leaders, top class athletes, actors, artists. People know about this stuff, but mainstream, not so much. So what happens with most people is when they become out of balance and experience negativity, they don't know how to fix it. And they're definitely not all running off to get their subconscious reprogrammed, that's for sure. And things like hypnosis fall short most of the times because it's more surface level suggestion. So what I do goes deeper and gets real results because I communicate to the subconscious at the part where the real changes take place. So in this video, this first episode, episode one, we'll call it, it's an overview of who I am, what I do, and how your mind works, and who will need and benefit from this thing. So let's talk about the common mental and emotional states that people fall victim to. So just checking the time on this. Okay, so let's list a few. Okay, first of all, just feeling negative. You've lost the ability to feel happiness in life. This is very common these days. There's no even real cause. They just don't feel good. So that's a really easy fix. That's a one subconscious session fix, and they are boom, back to normal. Okay. When I fix somebody, I don't just remove the negativity. I reintroduce and reinstall all the positive states. So it's like a complete transformation. And when that happens, the perception of life changes. It's like you take off the old glasses and you put on the new ones. Okay. So the new ones is, hey, you know what? Life's all right and I feel good. So we've got negativity. We've got anxiety. We've got sadness. We've got worry. We've got depression. We've got low self-esteem, low confidence. Okay. Low drive. Anything can stimulate this. Anything. It doesn't take much for the mind to drift out of balance and get stuck there. Okay. Maybe it's childhood, something started in childhood, pulled that person out of balance, created negativity, and they got stuck in it. I'll explain, you know, in a minute why people get stuck in it and how the mind works. So, common, not so severe states, but enough to pull you out of happiness is things I've just mentioned: stress, pressure, depression, sadness, worry, fear, anxiety, OCD, okay, just another out of balance mental state, OCD, sleep issues, nervousness, and that low confidence, low self-esteem, and all the rest of it. Okay, so now let's talk about the severe mental emotional states. These are ones that people, you might hear of someone that's been through this or fallen victim to this, and they never really come back. They reach a point where they're kind of known as the person who had a nervous breakdown, should we say, and they were never the same again. Okay, so nervous breakdown is really, a person reaching their absolute, just making sure I am not stopping this video. So a nervous breakdown, right, is a point where a person reaches their absolute limit. So they are that far out of balance. They're in such a heightened state. Their nervous system, their adrenaline system, their mental capacity, everything is being stimulated to such a degree that it reaches a point where it starts to malfunction. Okay, they can't take any more. They can't function normally anymore. Panic attacks can happen. Physical ailments always seem to start to come out in a person when they reach a certain intensity or duration of negativity. So that could even be from the more common states that I mentioned, and I will go into the physical ailments shortly and how they stem from the mental state. So we've got nervous, emotional, exhaustion, breakdowns. We've got things called burnout. This is where a person reaches a point in their life where, they don't have the drive anymore. They can't seem to get going again. They've done too much of it. They've had too many setbacks, too many knockbacks, and they haven't got the drive or desire to get back, get going. And that does get harder as people get older. So, and obviously the older a person gets, the more baggage they're carrying around mentally. Again, I'm getting onto this next, which is the subconscious and how it works. So everything I've just mentioned is all coming from the subconscious. It's all being run as automated systems known as programs or systems, okay? They're coming from the subconscious. They were originally created by you, your conscious mind, your behaviors, your reactions, your thoughts and your feelings and all that kind of stuff. It's just you going about life reacting to whatever situation you're experiencing. Okay, the subconscious is picking this up, it's observing and it's creating hot automated programs. Once those programs are created, they are the default setting of you. And how do you remove them? I see many people these days, some really well-known people who, people will run to them for help, but they don't remove the programs. So they're more managing the systems. So, we've got things like motivational speakers. They're great, and that's great stuff. It's great to implement motivational structure into your life. It makes you feel good. We've got people who have all the science on the subconscious and, you can go and listen to them, watch them, go and see them live, and you can listen to every bit of information about the subconscious. Yet even their methods don't remove these programs. And I know this because I treat people weekly that have tried everything. And I know myself because, I've been there. I've been rock bottom myself. And that's another video where I will explain my own, backstory and everything else and how I became to have this ability to speak direct to the subconscious. So once the subconscious programs are in, then with what I do, it means I can remove them in minutes. And not only do I remove the unwanted programs, I reinstall the correct ones. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So we remove the negativity and we reinstall the positivity and all the attributes needed to feel brilliantly. So an example of a reset, it's like the global reset event that I'm doing, the live virtual, which is free. So make sure you look out for that. Dates will be announced for the one up and coming in the next 1 or 2 weeks, and it will be around April. So a reset session may last only about 8 minutes long. So when I talk to the subconscious, the things I'm doing is I'm removing, changing, and putting in everything needed for a person to make that full transformation and for the new foundational settings to come into place. So things like bring your attention back into the now moment, because this gets lost. It gets pulled out of whack, and people who become in a state of worry or fear or negativity spend too much time thinking about the future than they do living in the now moment, which is where we're supposed to be. That's why most children, they don't worry because they're living in the now. Then as we get older, responsibilities and peer pressure and all things pull that person out of that happy now moment state. Okay, so once I've done that, then I remove all the negative states. So I remove, dial down, reset, whatever you want to call it, things like anxiety, fear, worry, panic, anger, hatred, negative assumptions, and I replace them with all the positive states. So this is things like calmness, confidence, joy, happiness, gratitude, okay? And I go into detail about that, and I restore the natural sleep. And there's a few other things that I mentioned, but I'm going to hold some things back because I don't want to give too much away at this moment in time. But basically, I make changes that create a full transformation, and that becomes your new setting. Once that new setting is in place, the subconscious, the big, super powerful part of the mind that not many people know about, is now projecting out into the world your new script, your new setting. Okay, so this is like a driving force which helps a person in life because of how they feel, what they're experiencing, everything, pretty much 95% of it is coming from the subconscious. So your conscious mind then has an ability to change its behaviors because you feel that the nervous system has been disengaged. All of a sudden life doesn't look that serious. It looks more pleasant because the perception has changed. Because once the mind changes to the new setting, in effect what you do is you're taking off the old pair of glasses, the perception glasses, you're putting the new ones on. I'm going to look at my notes. So my technique, so like I said, I'm well experienced in hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, conventional methods. But when I discovered I had the ability to speak direct to the subconscious and get results that were far, far above anything else I could find, at first I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is amazing. And for the last 10 years, that's what I've been doing. I've been fixing people, helping people. I've worked on myself a lot. And it's just amazing. Once you can access the internal management system of your entire being, and in minutes you can change anything. It's amazing. And once you've done the reset, some people will only need one. Some people will benefit off a few. So it depends on the severity of the person. Everybody's individual, and everybody's circumstances are different. But like I said, I'll run this reset free so people can jump on the reset. And then from that, when the new foundations are in, that's actually where the fun starts, because then you can upgrade, you can tweak, you can change. And I'll give you an example. So say if you want to remove a nervousness or a fear or something that you was holding you back. So we just change it. We change it, we put the new state in. Now, of course, there'll be the memory there that's making you think you couldn't do that thing. But once you engage and you push past that, you realize you actually can. Okay, because we've changed that setting internally. I can change reactions. So if there's a certain thing or a person or a situation that triggers you, that causes a negative reaction, I can change that in minutes. We just remove it. We put in at the subconscious level the new reaction. Let me check the time. What are we on? 15 minutes. Wow, time flies, doesn't it? So I don't want to go too long on this first video. But again, this is all about getting the information out on this first episode of who I am, what I do, and then on the next episodes, we will go more specific with specific categories and genres so everybody can tune in and learn and enjoy everything that I'm explaining to people. So basically, in a nutshell, you have to kind of forget everything you thought you knew about, caring for your mental state, improving your mental state, fixing yourself, bringing yourself back from severe negativity, because it's not what you thought. Okay, treating the symptoms is not the fix. It may bring temporary relief. And, I see lots of people now in this sector being the most popular sector in the world almost is, mental health, self-improvement, relationships, money. They're all interconnected to your mental state. And they're all offering solutions in way of courses, workshops, and things like that. Now, the beauty of what I do is, and what I'm attempting to do, is get this out to the world and explain everything in simple terms and give them the fix in simple terms. This mind reset, mind reprogramming, what I do takes minutes, absolute minutes. There's nothing else a person needs to do other than, listen or be present in one of my events, and just relax. and I can give instructions to a person how to help them be receptive on the first time they do this. So yeah, I mean, I think for the first episode, I think we've kind of got through everything. We've gone through the normal cases, we've gone through the severe cases, you know, the main mental breakdown, the burnouts, OCD. OCD is really simple. It's just an overactive mind. When the mind gets out of balance, it starts to do things that you're not in control of. That's all OCD is. So I can fix that really easy. You know, anxiety, really easy fixes. You know, once a person gets put into the correct state, then for the first time in their life, for some people, they've removed the baggage. And that's what's so amazing about this. And it is the most amazing thing ever, which is to be able to access the mind and always keep yourself in the correct state, especially with so much going on in the world at the moment. I mean, there is so many things pulling people out of balance at the moment. You know, the pressure to succeed, the world current affairs. You know, we've got constant news, you know, whether it's mainstream or alternative news channels, it's constant negativity that we're being subject to. The uncertainty of the future, uncertainty of the financial, you know, and economic systems. Everything is going on at the moment. So more and more people are struggling with their mental and emotional states. So yeah, if you like what I'm talking about, then subscribe to the channel and enjoy the videos. And then if you want to take part, you just register for the free global virtual live events. And once the reset is in, once you've seen that this works for you, now bear in mind there will always be a small percentage of people that don't get that full benefit, but off my last 10 years, I'd probably say 90 to 95% of the people it does work for. Okay, and what it does is it transforms their life. It doesn't just transform their mind, their life changes. Okay, because once your mind is correct, everything else starts to change. And that's another video that I'll go into that about the mind and what it gives out and what it comes back, what it attracts, what it sends out, you know, the electromagnetic atmosphere and all the rest of it. So that's another interesting video topic. And there's so much to talk about and there's so much information to get out. So let's just recap. My name is Adrian Halo. I speak to the mind. I access the mind's management system, the subconscious. This is where 95% of what you're feeling and experiencing in your life is being controlled by the subconscious. If you want to look this stuff up, get on ChatGPT. It's a good advanced search in it. You can go on there, you can check everything I'm saying is correct. The problem is not many people out there can do what I do. I've not found anyone yet, and I have looked. You know, like I said, I've got a good experience in hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm not knocking them. I've had some good experiences with NLP, but it does fall short for a lot of people. So again, hypnosis does, because a lot of it is surface level suggestion, and that's why they can put out, you know, videos for people to click and listen to on TikTok and things like that. You know, they call it a hypnosis session, but you don't really feel anything after it, and that's usually a telltale sign that nothing's changing. You know, so when somebody goes through one of my communications, the change starts instantly, and that person will go through an adjustment period. That adjustment period is different for everybody, and it's relative to the size of the shift and change taking place. So a severely out of balance person will go through quite a challenging adjustment, okay, which, you know, I always explain beforehand what they may experience, you know, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. But you know, when they reach the end of the adjustment, 7, 8 days later, whatever it may be, then they see the transformation. And then it still continues to integrate. Some people, it's still integrating 2 weeks later, and they're still improving, still getting better. And you know, when you're hearing people saying the panic attacks have gone, you know, 20 years of panic attacks gone, you know, stopped after one session, but felt like it was still trying to happen. Second session gone, third session, it's not even in their life, even in their mind anymore. You know, like I say, I'm fixing people every week. that they've had. Some have been out of whack for decades, most of their adult life. It's become their personality, because that's another video. The self-identifying in the incorrect state. So when we transform them, they self-identify in the new state, and this is what I help them with also. And the virtual live events that I'm doing, it's a 3-phase. So the first reset is the complete transformation. Okay, so the complete transformation will bring in the new setting, where people will all of a sudden, they'll feel happy, they'll feel calm, they'll feel confident, they'll feel relaxed, the anxiety's gone. That one is the free global reset. If at that point they want to go further, there's 2 more paid events. There is the Kevlar Mind. This is where we reinforce and rebuild, and adding in things like resilience, so things of life just bounces off. Okay, and this is just an amazing one. The rebuilding phase is just such good fun, because I call them upgrades. And you upgrade someone, it's a lot less adjustment, and you speak to them a week later, and all of a sudden all these new attributes are all evident in their life. The way they're reacting, the way they're thinking is completely different. Positivity, confidence, happiness, things that would usually trigger them just bounces off. That's why I call it Kevlar Mind. And then the last one of that series, phase 3, I'm calling it the Limitless Upgrade. This is where the self-identification is really integrated, that you are not who you was anymore. This is the new you, and this in effect is the authentic you. So that is a really amazing one. That is the limitless one, and that is where we really tweak, upgrade and enhance all the amazing things, because we've done the hard work. Now it's the fine tuning. So again, for anybody interested in this, look out for my up and coming virtual live events. Okay, and they will be advertised. You'll see the commercials coming out on social media, and obviously I'll let everybody know on here. So please subscribe to the channel. This is my first YouTube episode. Bear with me. I'm not the best video maker, but you know what? As long as I'm getting the information out, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I love transforming people's lives, and I want to get this information out. This is how we fix people in simple terms, quick, easy, transformational, no nonsense, no drawn out courses, no workshops, no 6 months therapy. None of that is needed when you can access the subconscious. Okay, I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.
DMC Global Reset Virtual Event Call to Action. Register now, put on your headphones, and experience transformation.